Philip Innes Fraser was born on January 3, 1965 in Anchorage, Alaska to Robert and Shirley Fraser, both respected doctors. Growing up, Philip developed an appreciation for the outdoors, much like his parents. He also had a passion for literature and became an accomplished violinist at a young age. Inspired by his parents' careers, his ambition was to become a doctor, so he enrolled in the pre-med program at his father's alma mater, Western Maryland College. After a year of school, Philip felt restless and wanted to return to Alaska, where he felt more at home. However, he ultimately chose to focus on his medical career goals and enrolled at Evergreen State College in Olympia, Washington. In June 1988, 23-year-old Philip loaded all of his belongings into his 1983 black Volkswagen Jetta and embarked on a journey to Washington State, planning to camp out along the way. Unfortunately, the trip didn't start smoothly as he encountered car trouble early on. Despite this setback, he pressed on, and 2 days later, on June 17, 1988, he crossed into Canada. The 2 handguns he had brought along were confiscated by Border Patrol agents, as it was illegal for Americans to carry firearms into Canada. With that resolved, Philip was free to continue his journey, unaware that he was about to meet someone who would change his life forever. On June 18th, a hitchhiker was dropped off at the 40-mile Flats Café, located about 600 miles from the border checkpoint. The cafe was owned by Gay Frockledge and her daughter Tina. Gay and Tina immediately felt uneasy about the stranger. They noticed his decaying teeth and the strong smell he emitted. While he didn't do anything suspicious during his meal, they felt uncomfortable around him and even feared that he may have escaped from a mental hospital. The man was described as Caucasian, in his early to mid-20s, 5'9", and around 230 pounds with brown hair and brown eyes. After finishing his meal, the hitchhiker paid and left. At that moment, Philip Fraser arrived at the cafe in his Volkswagen Jetta, seemingly searching for something in his car. The hitchhiker walked up and asked Philip for a ride. Initially, Philip refused and began to drive off. However, the hitchhiker chased after the car, and for reasons unknown, Philip stopped and allowed the stranger to get in before continuing on. Tina at that point turned to Gay and remarked, "He's going to regret the day he picked this man up." She later told police she had a gut feeling, sensing that this man could do anything. Tina's intuition proved correct, as that was the last time Philip Fraser was seen alive. 8 hours later, 200 miles south of the cafe, a hitchhiker flagged down Eddie and Polin Olson. He claimed he was having car trouble. The couple noticed he seemed nervous but didn't think much of it. According to Polin, "You could tell he was nervous, but I thought, well, he was just scared being out here this late at night and didn't want to stay out here because it's kind of a remote area." Eddie and Polin kindly let the stranger stay the night in their basement in Catwink, a village inside the Katunga Indian Reserve. The following morning, the hitchhiker introduced himself as Philip Fraser and told the Olsons about his background, mentioning that he was from Alaska and that his parents were both doctors. He also said he was studying medicine at a college in Washington State. The hitchhiker then proposed selling his car to the Olsons in exchange for a plane ticket. Eddie agreed but said the deal would have to wait until Monday so the purchase could go through customs. The stranger insisted he couldn't wait and needed to leave right away. Eddie and Polin grew uneasy when he pulled out 2 wallets and started acting strangely. He gave them $20 for their trouble and left to repair his car, which only needed a new fan belt. After that, he departed, and the couple didn't think much about the encounter for weeks. On June 19th, just 12 hours after the hitchhiker left the Olsons' home, Philip Fraser's burned-out car was discovered 300 miles away in a car wash bay in Prince George, British Columbia. No one at the scene had seen anything or knew who the car belonged to. Corporal Craig Gates of the Royal Canadian Mounted Police said, "The condition of the car after it was burned, it was almost completely gutted on the inside due to the fire, and the outside had severe fire damage as well. Nothing of significance was found in the car." The 450-mile stretch of Highway 16 between Prince Rupert and Prince George is infamously known as the Highway of Tears due to over 20 Indigenous women being murdered or going missing there. Because of this tragic history, the Prince George RCMP suspected foul play and teamed up with the Prince Rupert RCMP Detachment's Regional General Investigation Section. Ultimately, it was the Jetta's VIN number that revealed the car's owner as 23-year-old Philip Innes Fraser. The Anchorage Police Department was notified after tracking Fraser to his parents' home address. A patrol car went there for a midnight welfare check, where Robert and Shirley learned the startling news about their son's vehicle. The last time they had heard from Philip was when he had car trouble less than a week earlier, and they had no idea where he had been or why his car had turned up burned. Despite this disturbing turn of events, they still clung to hope that their son was alive. Robert Fraser said, "There was an immediate sense of grave urgency among law enforcement officials. A young, single man leisurely travels, camping in the wilderness during the summer as he makes his way down to school. There was no hesitation. I think everyone knew right away something just wasn't right. They knew when they found his car on fire with none of his belongings. I was sure that there had been foul play, but I kept hoping, thinking of all sorts of alternatives." The search for Philip Fraser yielded no results for weeks until his body was discovered on July 27, 1988, in a gravel pit off Highway 37A, the Glacier Highway near Stewart, British Columbia. He had been shot with a handgun and left there. It was determined that he had likely died around the same time he was last seen, based on the advanced decomposition of his body. The RCMP conducted an extensive investigation into Philip's murder, which eventually led them to the Frocklitch's Cafe in Beaver Creek. Gay and Tina shared their story with the police about the strange man who had visited the cafe and left with someone who resembled Philip Fraser. A composite sketch of the hitchhiker was created and released. The RCMP continued to circulate Philip's photo and story, hoping to encourage more people to come forward and help identify his killer. Investigators spent weeks searching every restaurant and gas station between the 40-mile Flats Café and Prince George. Several witnesses, including the Olsons, came forward to assist the RCMP in solving the case. Each of them had seen and interacted with the hitchhiker in the days after Philip's murder and shared a similar story to the Olsons. They all said that the man introduced himself as Philip Fraser and claimed Philip's backstory as his own. Authorities believe this individual gathered as much information as possible about Philip, then killed him to assume his identity. They suspect he may have continued pretending to be Philip and might still have Philip's credit cards, checkbook, passports, and birth certificate, none of which have ever been found. Philip Fraser's case remains unsolved, and the hitchhiker, who is almost certainly responsible for his murder, has never been identified. There has been speculation that Michael McGray, a Canadian serial killer active at the time of Philip's murder, could be the perpetrator. However, the RCMP has stated that he has been ruled out as a suspect. Unfortunately, Philip's father passed away in 2014 without ever seeing his son's killer brought to justice. Philip's mother, along with the rest of his family and friends, continue to hope that one day justice will be served in his case, bringing them the closure they still seek and deserve.